U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened secondary sanctions against countries that continue purchasing oil or petrochemicals from Iran. The warning comes as China's Iranian oil imports have hit a record high. Trump's move is being seen as a pressure tactic amid nuclear negotiations and also escalating trade tensions with both Iran and China. Meanwhile, the foreign minister of Oman has announced that a fourth round of U.S. Iran talks on the nuclear program have been postponed. My colleague Vishal Vivek, meanwhile, joins us to break down the implications of these secondary sanctions on countries like India.
Well, Arjun, Iran had been India's third largest source of crude oil until 2019 when the U.S. imposed fresh sanctions. So that was about 6 years ago. And now Iran has been relegated to the 71st position in the world when it comes to the export of crude oil. And it's almost down to zero when it comes to imports into India. And that reflects the level of effects those sanctions have had on Iran's oil exports and imports. And it goes on to show what kind of effect these sanctions can have on these big suppliers of oil across the world. And this is yet another effort by the U.S. administration to, arm twist the Iranian administration into accepting those terms that it wants the Iranian regime to accept so that it can curtail the nuclear program of Iran regime, which it has been trying to control for a while now. We all remember a deal was signed in 2015, which Trump later backtracked from. So those deals will also be in focus when another round of talks happen. But for now, these fresh sanctions could further be detrimental to the overall cause of Iran's crude oil exports.
Thank you so much for that, Vishal. Moving on, from Washington to New York and Los Angeles, May Day protests have turned into a national outcry against President Trump's immigration crackdowns and also plans to, in fact, cut Medicaid. Lawyers, labor unions and immigrant rights groups led demonstrations, accusing the administration of, in fact, favoring billionaires over working families. Several protesters were seen being taken in custody during a May Day rally in Philadelphia. Meanwhile, lawmakers, including Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, rallied protesters warning that cuts to Medicaid are still looming despite a temporary pause. Here's what they said.
Now, I'm not going to tell you that the struggle in front of us is easy. The oligarchs own the economy, they own the media, they own the political process. That's the reality. And I may not have a PhD in mathematics, but there is one thing I do understand. That if we do not allow Trump and his friends to divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation, if we stand together around a progressive agenda, if we start electing candidates who work for us and not the billionaire class, if we think big and not small, brothers and sisters, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. Let's go out, let's do it, let's transform the country. Thank you all very much.
China said that it's evaluating an offer from the U.S. to hold talks over tariffs imposed by President Donald Trump. The 145% duties have strained relations and rattled markets, to say the least. But Beijing's Commerce Ministry has said that its door is open to negotiations if Washington, however, shows sincerity. While both sides signal a willingness to talk time and over again, Beijing has in fact warned that coercion and pressure tactics will not work. The developments raise hopes of a potential de-escalation in the ongoing trade war. Over in Washington, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has said that the war in Ukraine is unlikely to end soon. Yes, that's correct. He told Fox News that Russia and Ukraine must find middle ground to stop this conflict. Now, his comments follow a new U.S.-Ukraine deal to share profits from rare earth minerals in exchange for future American security assistance, at least for now. Van also defended President Trump's approach, even as Trump hinted Ukraine might cede Crimea to achieve peace, a suggestion Ukrainian President Zelensky opposed vehemently. Meanwhile, on the battle lines, fighting continues. A Russian drone strike in Zaporizhzhia injured 14 people, while Russia accused Ukraine of bombing a market in the occupied south, killing 7, a claim Kiev denies. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to defund the NPR and the PBS, accusing them of bipartisan bias. The order directs the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to halt direct funding and cancel existing grants. Critics have said that the move undermines press freedom and effectively essential news access as well, especially in rural and underserved communities across the U.S. In a major upset for UK's Labour Party, Reform UK has won a Runcorn and Helsby by-election. By just 6 votes, they've overturned a 14,700 vote majority. The narrow victory gives Reform its 5th MP and raises fears within Labour of further losses to Nigel Farage's party in the next general election. Now, the seat became vacant after Labour MP Mike Amsbury resigned following a criminal conviction. Immigration, energy bills and public anger over Labour's local decisions have dominated the campaign. Meanwhile, Reform's success in this Labour stronghold is being seen as a breakthrough moment, to say the least, for the populist party. South Korea's former acting president Han Duck-soo has announced his candidacy for the country's upcoming snap presidential election scheduled for the 3rd of June. Now, the move comes a day after Han resigned from office, with political observers saying his experience may very well make him a strong contender in a closely watched election race.